Juneteenth is now a federal holiday. No, it will be a federal holiday as soon as the House passes it, but the Senate passed unanimously a resolution to support Juneteenth becoming a federal holiday. And, you know, anti-democratic Twitter troll who thinks, you know, the January 6th insurrection was just tourists, Ron Johnson, he actually stopped this from happening last year. He blocked it from happening this year. He blocked it last year. This year, you know, he kind of took a sense of it and realized that it wasn't going to work for him to block it. So he like just issued a strongly worded press release and let it happen and went along with it. I don't think he voted for it, but he didn't vote against it. So, you know, maybe bipartisan's back. I don't know.
No, Aaron, I don't believe so. And although this passed unanimously, the Juneteenth federal holiday, which is great and it's wonderful, it is something worth celebrating. However, it does not hit the mark for those of us of color. It does not hit the mark on the other things that need to be taken care of immediately, such as our 40 acres and a mule, knowing that we could not have that at this particular time, but reparations needs to be a discussion in the Senate and the House immediately. And I call upon the Congress and I call upon our president to speak of this, get this taken care of, get that committee together, what needs to happen, and we need to have answers at least before 2022 comes in. So in my opinion, the federal holiday of Juneteenth, like I said, is worth celebrating, but it does not hit the mark. And I'm not going to do backflips because now we are in acknowledgement of it, because it's really a day late and a dollar short as far as I'm concerned, because of the simple fact that this has been known ever since the 1800s. So we have to take, 200 years to pass some law that most of us will not be able to be off from work. Most of us will not receive compensation on June the 19th. And that is just the way I feel about it as a woman of color. Back to you, Aaron.
But also as a Black woman, I would have to concur with everything that my sister Kim spoke on. It is a little bit too late. Great, we have a holiday. Thank you for recognizing what we've all been talking about for decades, for hundreds of years. However, what we are not addressing and what the federal government is refusing to address is how they have been complacent in perpetuating racism, such as through the housing process, how the FHA historically would not give out loans to Black people, not people of color, but specifically Black people, specifically in how that they make sure that factories are in those neighborhoods, not in neighborhoods where whites were living. So there's so many, it's a great holiday, but my community is still hurting. You cannot put a Band-Aid on a broken leg and expect it to heal properly. So let's really do the work. Let's do this Voting Rights Act. Let's do the real work and not do these little Band-Aids here and there. Let's fix the wound, let's address it, and let's be real about it.
Denise and Aaron, I apologize. We're probably running a little bit late on this, but this is something so passionate to Denise and myself that it has to be spoken. And I know what's going to happen. It's happened before when we had a Black president, and then we got Donald Trump because it was a white lash against a Black president. And I understand that. So Mitch McConnell and all of his cronies, including Rand Paul, will come and say, well, we gave you all a federal holiday of Juneteenth, so you can't say anything if I don't give you the Voting Rights Act. I'd rather have the Voting Rights Act every day of the week rather than have Juneteenth as a federal holiday.
Correct. And one other thing, since we're there, how about how about right now we have legislators who are pushing the fact they don't want us to talk about race in schools. The critical race theory, which I believe you all spoken about this perhaps last week. So you all, this is just a Band-Aid. The racism, the bigotry is still being perpetrated by these people who voted yes for this holiday. We have states that are taking away history of the people of color, from our Native community to our indigenous community, to our Blacks, our African Americans, our Latinx community. Those histories should be taught. And the real truth of the racism that we have each faced
100%.
should be addressed 100%. And if you're afraid of the truth, what's your hand in all of the true realism that happened?
Yeah,
Period.
it's amazing to me,
Right,
right?
let's keep it going. Sorry.
So like the second that the Tulsa massacre becomes, far more commonplace in terms of understanding that it happened, that it was real, and it took, a couple
And
HBO
actually,
series, took a couple
Tulsa,
to
and actually the Tulsa that everyone is now talking about,
yes,
sorry, that everyone is talking about now, that we have all been talking about Black Wall Street since forever.
Hallelujah. Yes, we grew up knowing about it. Right.
Right. That was not the only one. There were several times when the United States government took siege and killed Black citizens who were living their life just as they were. Tulsa was the first time that the bombs were used to kill its own people here in the United States. Another time it was used in 1985, I believe it was done in Philadelphia. Took out a whole block, but carry on, sorry. What were you saying, Aaron?
Oh, don't worry about me here. Yeah, no,
you missed me, didn't you? Did you miss me?
Clearly we hit something there, and we should. This is it's important stuff to air. But I was just going to point out that the fact that the Tulsa massacre became common knowledge,
this year.
Finally, this year, 100 years later, for just in time for the 100th year, memorial of it, and that's the exact moment that Republicans went nuts over critical race theory, right? They're like, we don't want to know about this. We don't want people to know about this. We would much rather this stay, buried in the past. How many folks know that Mount Sterling was a sundown town, or that or what even a sundown town is, right? The fact that Black people were run out of town, if not worse treatment, if they were caught in Mount Sterling, in Montgomery County, yeah. So we got a lot to deal with. I think the reparations conversation needs to happen. I think Ron Johnson is a horrible human, and I really hope he does not go back to the Senate. But what I did want to move on to was story number 2, because
1 second, Aaron,
somehow we are super late, and
I'm so sorry, but I just had to say, Mitch is one of 50 Republican senators who represent 33% of the U.S. population. It's minority rule. It doesn't serve the will of the people, and I just referring back to that story that we had only seconds ago. So I mean, it's power. It's a fundamental power hold on the it's minority rule. That's what they did. That's what they did when there was slavery in America. And you just lie and you steal and you so. All I can say is it's the conspiracy theories that I feel like that we're fighting against in the Republican Party. They'll do everything they can to sway away from this story.
Awesome.
It's authoritarianism.
To story number 2,
Yes.
Denise Gray, you're gonna tell us a little bit about some local news here.
Well, thank you there, Aaron, and I will read the story that is written. So, hey, everybody. You remember a couple of weeks ago when this show had Reverend Clark Williams of the People's Campaign on to discuss the need to end no-knock warrants, right? We saw an interim victory last week in that the Lexington Fayette Urban City Council voted 9-6 to move forward with an ordinance that would ban no-knock warrants. The ordinance also stipulates how knock and announce warrants must be served. So those that voted in favor of this of having the no-knock bill or ordinance move forward were Vice Mayor Steve Kay, and City Council members, Republican Chuck Ellinger and Republican Josh McKern. Thank you all. James Brown, Hannah Legreese, my sister, Liz Sheehan, my councilman, whose last name I cannot pronounce, which is David Clover, and Jennifer Reynolds and Kathy Ploman, which, oddly, there were two people who did not vote in favor, which was, let's see, what are their names? City Councilman Maloney and also, what is her name? She is my friend, Susan Lamb, also voted against moving forward with this no-knock warrant. The ordinance will receive its final vote at the June 14th meeting. So those who voted against this ordinance were voting not to let it move forward. And those who were voting in favor of this ordinance or on this vote were voting to move this ordinance forward to a final vote. So hope on this upcoming week, the 24th, we will have a final decision. So we shall see. And if you all, if any of you all send an email to your city council person or any of the city council members, in the comments here, reply or state if you received a reply from anyone. I received a reply today from that email from my city council member who was in total agreement with me about basically the misinformation that was stated during the meeting about exigent circumstances. So what I did when I sent the information, my email to them, I explained to them what an exigent circumstances actually were, so that I would better help them make a decision. So it was great to hear back from the person that's representing the 6th district.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, Clark went in on the exigent circumstances issue when he was here and explained it, I think, really well. But I guess I guess the city council wasn't all listening to our show. So
No, I guess they weren't. And it's I'm just curious of what the decision will be and what that means for the people of Lexington. Because what I did notice is that many of the city council members who represent perhaps the south side, not necessarily near any side of the north side, they voted against. So I'm just itching to see what the results may be next week.
It clearly wasn't just a kind of a partisan vote, right? Because a couple of those were Republicans. My representative, very disappointed that Preston Morley, who tells me he's a Democrat, that he didn't vote for it. So it's just somebody to see that. So but it seems like it's a good sign. We're like moving in the right direction, and we'll watch closely on the 24th. There was a bit of a blowback, right? Big blowback. I know Ken got involved with some of it.
I did. I absolutely did. I wrote my representatives and the city government, and I didn't hear anything back, but my representative actually voted for to not ban the no-knock warrants. But I also
who's your city council person?
Got into a little Facebook commentary with the Fraternal Order of Police Bluegrass Lodge number 4, which blocked me after I posted about how 5 of the no-knock warrants that happened in the last few years, they got one of them wrong, and it cost Fayette County taxpayers $100,000 in damages. I mean, can you imagine? Like, police are storming your house unannounced into your house. You're in handcuffs. Your kids are crying, getting PSD, and there's nothing you can do. And it was far worse for Breonna Taylor, who was murdered by police because of reckless situation that is still unaccountable for this type of home invasion. And so the FOP said in one of these reports that they have mentally prepared themselves if the ban is enacted. This sounds like a threat to me, but the Constitution says we deserve a speedy trial that makes these but to make these officers judge, jury, and executioner, it's a human rights violation, and it also creates a divide between police and people who, and the police do are supposed to provide a service for us. We pay them to serve and protect, but I think Republicans want to change that to punish and kill. So the justice system has to be accountable to us. They are supposed to be there to benefit us, we the people, and not hand out capital punishment in the heat of any moment. Police should not be able to bypass the justice system. So this is just a half step toward American fascism, which leads to corruption and brutal police state where some can do no wrong. Some get away suffering no consequence, especially the wealthy and elite. But most of us lose our civil liberties. Republicans are screaming on the internet. They're always screaming about freedom, and the Democrats are going to take away the freedom, but Republicans keep taking it away. I mean, I don't understand how they don't see this disconnect. It's not law and order.
And welcome, folks, to Ken's Soapbox. So the other point I wanted to make, and it was one that Sandy made very well in the comments. Thank you, Sandy Downs. The pressure is real. The FOPs, lies, like the statements they made are ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, and not factual. But that is, as a clear signal that they are putting a ton of pressure, and it only takes 2 votes to swing this the other way, right? And we just mentioned there are 2 Republicans that kind of surprised us a little bit and went this way. So it will not be hard if we do not thank all of our reps who did the right thing, lean on our reps who didn't do the right thing, keep the pressure on until between now and the 24th for sure.